Hello, I'm going to show you how to remotely deploy Ultra VNC version 1.0.8 to a remote computer using Bostech VNC scan, or Venom for short. And we're going to pick on, say, Izzy's PC. And we need to deploy Ultra VNC to that. So let's start by going to VNC deployment, and we're going to make a new profile in the profile editor. A profile is basically a collection of settings that apply to a server, such as password, how to pull the screen, and all kinds of various things that you can set. So we're going to make a new profile, and we're going to choose Ultra VNC as the version. There's other ones that you can choose here, but since the remote computer is going to be Windows 7, Ultra VNC is the preferred one. It's the one that's truly Windows 7 ready. So we'll put in a name, say Ultra VNC. You can name it anything you want. It's just a friendly name so that you can recall it later. And then we'll put in a password. This is mandatory. You have to put a password in no matter what you set on these other computers. Ultra VNC does have Windows authentication that you could set under special options, but even if you set that, you still need to set a password here. So let's hit save, and now we have our profile, the very basic with just the standard features and the password, and hit close. Now we're going to deploy this to Izzy's computer so that we can remote control it. So I'll hit VNC deployment and deploy to selected. And that comes up with the deployment tool, and it shows her IP address here as a selected computer, and it shows to use alternative login credentials. And since I'm not on a domain and I'm not running as a domain admin, I am going to need to authenticate against her computer in order to be able to remotely access the registry and put files on and things like that are high security. So I'm going to put in administrator as her remote user, and I'm going to put in as her password the password that's on that remote computer. And I'm going to leave it at host here because I'm not on a domain. If I was on a domain, such as an Active Directory domain, I would put in that domain name there. But I'm not, so we'll leave it at host. Host is basically a variable that gets filled in during deployment with the name of the computer. So you'll be authenticating against 192.168.4.134/administrator is the username. So host is just a variable. Leave it as is. And you have a couple choices here of whether or not to deploy the start menu icons on the remote computer and whether or not to deploy the Ultra VNC video driver. So I'm going to leave that unchecked. I'm going to leave both these unchecked right now. The video driver just basically enhances the speed and responsiveness on the remote computer. But I found with the latest version of Ultra VNC, I really don't need it as much. It's really optimized and works great without the driver. So we'll leave that as is and we'll hit go. And we'll watch this thing deploy. It looks like a very familiar command box that's going out there and remotely running things using psexec. And it wants my input. It wants me to say whether or not I want to overwrite some settings. And hit yes, yes, and let it do what it wants to do. Now it's going to remotely install. You can see here in the heading what it's doing. It's telling you that it's running the Ultra VNC 108.exe, which is basically the installer. Now it's running the custom command on the remote computer, which tells it all the different things in the profile that we would have set. And when it's all done, it starts VNC back up, and it's started and ready to go. So we'll hit any key. Now we can double click on the computer, and there it is. We've now deployed Ultra VNC and we're on the remote computer. So that's all there is to it. And if you run into any problems, just visit us on the forums at www.bostech.com/VNC scan. Thank you.